Okay,
We're
cool.
here at Mi-Sci, which is the Museum of Innovation and Science here in Schenectady, and we're so happy that we're being allowed to come into the Challenger Learning Center and learn a little bit more about space and how it relates to us and the kids and the adults in our neighborhood. With me I have Mac Sudduth, he's the president of Mi-Sci, and tell us what we're going to see today, Mac.
Well, you just come in the entrance and everybody starts off in the briefing room. I'm going to introduce Carolyn here too.
Hi, Carolyn.
Carolyn Niehaus is going to help us.
Good. Come on
she's
over.
one of our mission specialists. And we're just going to go into the briefing room. Everybody starts off with a briefing, just like
Okay,
NASA.
great.
When the kids first come in, we've already trained their teachers. They may have done some activities at school. They had some roles assigned. And we, just like we would at NASA, every astronaut that goes on a mission gets a briefing. We sit them down and do a briefing. We have a little presentation we do on the screen.
And your our colleague here, would you introduce her and tell us how she is involved?
Introduce yourself.
So I'm Carolyn Niehaus. I'm one of the flight directors who's been trained to lead the missions that the students will be going through here at the Challenger Learning Center. So the briefing room, when they come in, they'll kind of sit down at their assigned stations. Each student comes in with a job, and so it's their responsibility during their time at the Challenger Learning Center to complete their mission, to complete their job so that they're working towards completing the mission. So in here we kind of get them oriented, get them excited, let them know what they're going to be doing and working on today as they're going through the mission, the rendezvous with the comet here at the Challenger.
So what I'm understanding, because I'm new to this obviously, what I'm understanding is that they are coming in as though they are part of the flight team, whether they are ground control or whether they're on the mission itself. And then they'll take a part of that and have a job, and then they will follow through on it.
And then they switch, so everybody gets to go into space and everybody gets to be in mission control.
Do the kids come back? I mean, we always like to know
Yes.
that.
Okay. Some of them don't want to come back, but they come back.
And then this is the, and I see you've got a great big screen over there. So what is the purpose of that screen? Is that to?
Well, we have a little presentation. We don't have the computer plugged in right now.
That's okay.
We have a little presentation that sort of gives them an orientation and gets them started on their task. And as Carolyn said, they come in knowing what they're divided up into groups. And then when we finish up the briefing, we go into mission control.
Now, what I'd like to know is how do the kids sign up for this? I mean, is this like, do they sign up or do they walk in and say, I'd like to be part of it?
They sign up through their schools. Actually, their teachers and their principals sign them up. And we've got 29 missions scheduled. Every sixth grader in Schenectady schools is coming through in May.
Oh, how exciting that
It
is.
is. And we've had a homeschool group already, and we've had Tech Valley High School kids do it. And we will be doing overnights, like you could sign up as a Girl Scout group for Camp In. Or we do summer camp, and so you can come to space camp for a week and be on a mission.
Now, are we going to go into the control room?
Yes, we're going to go into
Ooh,
mission
how
control.
exciting. I can't wait.
So you'll see that mission control is divided up into the various tasks. And Carolyn can probably tell you about the task. I know a little bit, but you can see there's data, communications, ISO.
And everything is labeled, I see.
Yeah, ISO or isolation, navigation, the probe, the remote, the
What is
medical
LS?
team, life support.
Oh,
Very important
we
one.
need life support.
So each team monitors the life support, and they have a set of tasks that they give people, and they will communicate with people in the space station. You can see the space station on the screen, and so most of the communication comes through data, doesn't it? You want to take over?
Sure. So kind of the bigger picture is the students are being asked to rendezvous with a comet. They are meeting up with a comet to collect data, to kind of check in.
A scientific mission.
Yes. Yep. So
Okay.
they're meeting up with Comet Enki, and so each of these teams has a specific job to complete. So navigation is determining where the comet is, where we're going to launch our probe. The probe team is building the motherboard of the probe. That's actually going to be sent up to the comet. So our life support team, our medical team, and our isolation teams are all kind of making sure that the astronauts are healthy, the spacecraft is functioning well, that everything on board is going as planned. And then our communications and our data teams are how our mission control team is communicating with our spacecraft team. So all communication passes through data and comm to make sure that they're communicating appropriately, and that messages are getting passed back and forth as needed and on the right.
Now this sounds
frame.
very complex to me, so I'm having to assume that the kids, now Mac, maybe you can help me, I guess I shouldn't have my back to you. How are they prepared for this? Because, I mean, if you told me I was going to sit here and do this, I'd say, whoa, you know, it's like getting behind the wheel of an 18-wheeler, and I've never driven one.
Well, first of all, we train the teachers before they come.
Okay.
And the teachers do some prep work so that, like,
they understand what
pick
data
particular kids to be on specific teams. Then you'll notice that every station, just like NASA, has a little book of tasks. It tells them out, you know, that like if you see on Apollo 13 where they're going through the checklist, every station has their checklist, including the data log where they take down the information. So it's partially here, and then we have a flight director who's here to help. Although,
And you're one of the flight directors.
Although
Yes.
what we're trying to encourage is for the kids to work it out themselves as a team.
Solve the problem.
Yeah.
And students really excel in these types of environments where they need to be hands-on and kind of learning quickly. You know, they're given the tools and the background information that they need to work through the problems. But you know, with the students that we've had coming through so far, they're jumping right in and don't have any kind of I don't know what to do.
Do they get to
very,
talk to each other behind here, or do they just specifically follow?
So they're working with their teammates. So.
Okay.
You know, the life support team will work together, and they're working with both the students who are in here sitting next to them, as well as their teammates in
Because
mission
they can
control.
see, for instance,
So-
I'll give you an example of the probe team. They can see the people putting the probe together, and they have the instructions, and the people in the spacecraft have the parts. So they have to work together to get it all working, and some of the parts may malfunction, so they may have to replace a part.
And of course, they can only use what they have on board,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So they use a paper clip and a bobby pin and a few other things, right? In the middle of a toilet roll dispenser.
So and most of the stuff goes through the data person, but on occasion, if there's an emergency, it goes directly through the communications person, right?
Yeah, well, data and comm kind of work together to make sure that all the information is flowing.
And how long does the space, I guess,
It's about 2.5 hours,
Okay.
and that allows both a
They can
student
switch.
to switch. We actually offer a 3-hour experience because we start off in the planetarium to sort of show them where they're going.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So it all fits together nicely.
Do you find that the kids that go through this are like, okay, now I really want to be an astronaut, or I really want to go to Houston and be on mission control? Do they get that excitement when they're done with this, or are they pretty much saying, whoa?
I think they're excited about it. I don't know that we're going to make them all into astronauts or engineers, but I think they go away feeling empowered and motivated, and it's certainly makes science more accessible and gives them an understanding more of what a career in science might be. I don't think that they could imagine what it'd be like to be an engineer in mission control until they've done it.
Okay, now what we've seen now is this is mission control. This is where, you know, at the end of a mission, everybody jumps up and goes, yay, we made it.
Yeah.
Right. What happens on the other end?
Well, we'll take you.
Okay, so right now we're entering the space transport vehicle. This is how the students arrive at the spacecraft. So they come in and they have a seat, and then they put on their vests that indicate that they're one of the astronauts that they're going to be working in the spacecraft here. And then they watch the launch sequence.
Will we be able to see some of this?
Yeah, sure,
okay, that would be great. I'd love to see that.
Some of that. Yeah.
Well,
So
let me come
they-
inside, and we can't
Yep.
take off until you shut the door.
Oh,
That's right.
all right, because we want to fall out, do we?
Right.
Yep.
So, and they sit down. They wear these smocks so that they identified as being part of the mission.
So this is like what it would look like at the Kennedy Space Center or in Houston. Is that correct?
Well, this is our.
So they just put in a new button that I'm having a little
Okay.
bit of trouble with here.
Shuttle.
Okay, are we go?
Yep, here we go.
Okay. Okay, take it away, Greg and Carolyn. Now you'll walk us through this a little bit.
Yep, so here we're on the runway and we're preparing for takeoff here. So a little bit in the future in our space transport vehicle. And shortly we're going to start to hear the communications between the mission control specialist and the pilot on our space transporter.
Now, do each of the students that are sitting here, do they each have a different task?
Yep, so just like in mission control, there are counterpart students, so they in a spacecraft.
Time to initiate APU pre-start procedure. Over.
Roger that. The pre-start prep is now complete. Over.
You are on internal power. Over.
Roger.
O2 vents closed. Over.
And the APU pre-start is completed. Over.
H2 tank pressurization check. Okay. Over.
Roger, Control. We're standing by for APU start. On my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. The start is complete.
APU is up and running. 5, 4. We have main engine start. 2, 1. Liftoff. You're underway. Have a great mission. You cleared the runway. Tracking altitude 5,000 feet. Downrange 15 miles. Trajectory looks good. Throttle back to 60%. Entering max Q. Through max Q. Throttle up to 100%.
We copy. The space transport vehicle is leaving the Earth's atmosphere. Wow, what a ride.
Stand by for MECO.
Roger. We're standing by. 3, 2, 1. Main engine cut off. We have arrived in space. Over.
ISS is tracking and will guide you. Welcome to space.
So we're now in space, and we can see the International Space Station up here. This is what we're going to be docking with. And both our space transport vehicle as well as the International Space Station are moving very quickly. So you can imagine this is something that requires a lot of precision work and planning. And so when we're getting closer, and you can see the different the solar arrays that they have, which is part of what the students work can relate to, is their teams that are
And this is a manned space station, is that correct?
I'm sorry.
This is manned with Russians and Americans.
This is the International Space Station.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And so all of the different international wings are on here. I think it's 16 different countries that were involved in the International Space Station. So at this point, the students
Stand by for Ohm's maneuver for ISS intercept and transfer.
STV, this is ISS. Do you copy? Over.
Hello, ISS. This is STV. We copy, and we have you in sight.
STV, this is ISS. We have you in sight. Approach heading 90.5. Continue to docking, connect 3. Good to see you.
so they flip the
ISS, we are happy to be here. We're tracking 500 meters. Range now 200 meters.
Looking good, STV.
We're in close approach.
Switching to bulkhead camera.
10 meters. Three. 2. 1. Soft dock. Capture. We have a hard dock.
Well, they got into that easier than a lot of people get in their garage.
We have successful hookup. We copy your capture. Airlock is pressurizing. Welcome aboard.
Great. So we've arrived at the space.
Transporter team, prepare for crew arrival.
So this gives them a feel of what it's like to get to the space station.
Yes. So what it's like, it kind of gets them excited about, you know, that we're going into this other space, and we have these other sort of protocols, and our mission there is very important. Just like it is in mission control, but this new environment kind of, you know, tunes them in a different way. And then here we've got our airlock.
Whoa!
So we'll go ahead and airlock into the spacecraft there. Because
so they actually will now go into.
Go right through the airlock. Yes.
Okay. Well, let's do it.
Yeah. Just leave that open. And so when we're going through the airlock, you don't want to hold on to the outside here. You'll keep your hands either in front of you or in your pockets.
Okay. Can we go in there?
You'll go right on it.
Okay. Let's do it. I think you can come too, Grant.
Yep, and you just don't want to lean against the side there. So just keep your hands in front of you or in your pockets. And we'll swing around here and arrive in space.
Wow!
So welcome to space. This is our spacecraft.
Oh my gosh.
So this is where the students will be doing a lot of the hands-on work after they're receiving data and research from their counterparts in mission control. So just like in mission control, we have each of the teams has a different station. You can see the labels on top, so isolation, remote, life support.
This is so impressive.
Yeah. So this is the clean room where our probe team will work. So in the clean room, they treat it like a clean room environment, so they wear lab coats as they go in, and the probe team is assembling.
And the airflow is up and out.
That's it, yeah. And so but so in here is our probe, and these are the pieces. Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
These are the pieces that the probe team needs to put on in order. So they're communicating via headset with their counterparts in mission control, and making sure that each of the parts goes in properly and is working like Max said. And so this is, following instructions, but also troubleshooting and making sure that.
But in the real world, they would not just be wearing a lab coat. They'd be
and like the full body
cover their
suits
feet and their head and everything. Yeah.
And this is just to kind of simulate a clean room environment.
No, I just wanted to say that the clean room you'd be a lot more covered.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, no, but
and what is this over here? This says Probe 1. What is a Probe 1?
So this is the probe team station. So each station has the label of telling what team is working there. So this is the probe team. And the probe team has this computer monitor that they're using to do research or send messages to their counterparts in mission control. So we can see, the program for the probe team. They're seeing, the different parts of the probe, understanding how to connect everything,
are they
which
taking
parts go where.
Are they taking air samples? Are they taking soil samples? What are they probing for?
So the probe team is assembling the probe that's going to be launched to the comet.
Okay, I got
So the difference, the other stations will see kind of
into the analysis. Okay, so this is just actually sending out the probe.
Yep, this is assembling and
setting out the probe. So you don't want to introduce anything on. Okay, and what is this area over here? Because this is right outside of the clean room, and obviously this is where they're going to do some analysis?
Yep, so this is the life support team, so they are responsible for taking measurements of the conditions in the spacecraft and making sure that all of their systems that are keeping the astronauts alive are functioning well. So they're measuring humidity, pressure, temperature, they're doing oxygen tests, they're checking our air filters, as well as doing some solar array samples, seeing how effective the solar arrays are working, that sort of thing. And again, so it's not just the students here who are doing it, it's their counterparts in mission control who are doing the research, running the tests, the analysis on the data that they're collecting to make sure. So they're really having to communicate back and forth.
So it's a team effort, and I think one of the things that I'm discovering through all of this, looking at this, is, we already knew it was a team, but to kind of see it in the microcosm, to see how the team works is really incredible. And the incredible thing is they're going to flip. So they get to do both halves.
Yes, yeah. So all the students get to work in both parts, but they're still working on their same team. So life support and spacecraft is working on the life support and mission control, so they get to see kind of what the students they were working with.
And what are these stations down here?
So over here we've got the isolation teams. They're doing different tests to make sure that we don't have anything dangerous or hazardous.
Is that bringing back the alien?
Yeah. And so they're using robotic arms to work with these different materials. So you know, making sure we don't have any hazardous liquids leaking, determining if there's likely to be a meteoroid shower in the near future, checking the radiation levels to make sure that we're not being exposed to too much radiation. So these students are using the robotic arms to do their research, and then sending their data back to mission control, who are, you know, the brains of it, and really analyzing.
And that eliminates any contamination, because this is in a controlled environment.
Yes, yep, and so that's why we're using the robotic arms here, because these are hazardous materials, so we're kind of reducing exposure. Also hazardous materials, so
right.
You know, everything is safe for the students and the school groups that are coming in. You know, but we want to create that real world environment of what it would be like on the spacecraft.
And it certainly looks like you have done that. They're just, and the glove boxes, oh my goodness, that's a whole other thing.
So our remote team here is they'll be doing some different samples and testing. Right now they're testing plant samples to make sure that they're safe, and so they're and healthy and don't have any diseases or hazardous insects in them. So they're using the glove box to do those tests. You need a little bit more dexterity than you can get with the robotic arms right now, but they're still protected.
And then
So we have a medical officer, a team just like we've got the remote team and the isolation team. The medical officer is responsible for taking measurements about the students, the astronauts' health and well-being, to make sure everybody's healthy and in good shape. And sending that, again, they send that data back to their teammates in mission control, who analyze it and confirm whether the astronauts are healthy.
And the interesting thing is that once they're in a controlled environment, there's not going to be no introduction of any bacteria or viruses, because it's already there. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's not going to be like, oh wow, we got this new thing.
Yep, so these stations are the data stations, communications, and navigation. And so these are where these students are working. You know, data and comm are making sure that the spacecraft and mission control are able to very easily communicate with each other. And the navigation team is determining where to send the probe, well, first of all, where the comet is, and then where to send the probe once they.
And am I looking at mission control there?
Yep. So this is just like in mission control, we have the camera views of the spacecraft. In the spacecraft, we have camera views of mission control.
Now, in looking at this is quite an extensive setup. Would you say that there's like 12 kids on each team or more? I mean, because you can really handle quite a few.
Yep, so we can have groups of at least 20, but about 30, up to 30 students altogether. So a class of up to 30, so we can have 15 and 15. Yep.
How many of these are there in the USA?
So there are 42 different Challenger Learning Centers around the world. I'm not sure exactly how many are just.
And how long did it take to build this?
So the group here in Schenectady and at Mi-Sci have been working for a long time, you know, years and years to get this here and to really make it a reality. But I know that with the help of a lot of donors and, you know, in particular Max support, they've been able to get this up and running.
Well, I know that Heidi DeBlock was on our show maybe about 5 years ago and was able to kind of outline what the Learning Center was going to be, and we were in hopes that it would come soon, but now with Mac getting involved in the negotiations, we got it here, and we're so happy that the Challenger, you've just been on a tour of the Challenger Learning Center. Is this incredible? Right here in Schenectady. You need to get involved. So, and Mac just came in. Hi, Mac. Hi. What a tour we just went through to see the Challenger Learning Center. It doesn't look like a lot from when you enter the museum, but when you get back into the back end of it, it's incredible, as you've already seen. So we hope that if you've got kids that are interested in space, and even if they're not, I think there'll be a lot to learn right here. So don't miss coming to Mi-Sci, the Museum of Innovation and Science, right here in Schenectady on Knott Terrace Heights. What is the purpose of that screen? Is that to...
Well, we have a little presentation. We don't have the computer plugged in right now.
That's okay.
We have a little presentation that sort of gives them an orientation and gets them started on their task. And as Carolyn said, they come in knowing what they're divided up into groups. And then when we finish up the briefing, we go into mission control.
Now, what I'd like to know is how do the kids sign up for this? I mean, is this like, do they sign up or do they walk in and say, I'd like to be part of it?
They sign up through their schools. Actually, their teachers and their principals sign them up. And we've got 29 missions scheduled. Every sixth grader in Schenectady schools is coming through in May.
Oh, how exciting that is.
It is. And we've had a homeschool group already, and we've had Tech Valley High School kids do it, and we will be doing overnight
mission. So in here we kind of get them oriented, get them excited, let them know what they're going to be doing and working on today as they're going through the mission, the rendezvous with the comet here.
So what I'm understanding, because I'm new to this obviously, what I'm understanding is that they are coming in as though they are part of the flight team, whether they are ground control or whether they're on the mission itself. And then they'll take a part of that and have a job, and then they will follow through on it.
And then they switch, so everybody gets to go into space and everybody gets to be in mission control.
Do the kids come back? I mean, you know, we always like to know that.
They all come back. Some of them don't want to come back, but they come back.
And then this is the, and I see you've got a great big screen over there. So
come in, we've already trained their teachers. They may have done some activities at school. They had some roles assigned. And we, just like we would at NASA, every astronaut that goes on a mission gets a briefing. We sit them down and do a briefing. We have a little presentation. We go on the screen.
And your our colleague here, would you introduce her and tell us how she is involved?
Introduce yourself.
So I'm Carolyn Niehaus. I'm one of the flight directors who's been trained to lead the missions that the students will be going through here at the Challenger Learning Center. So the briefing room, when they come in, they'll kind of sit down at their assigned stations. Each student comes in with a job, and so it's their responsibility during their time at the Challenger Learning Center to complete their mission, to complete their job so that they're working towards completing.
We're here at Mi-Sci, which is the Museum of Innovation and Science here in Schenectady. And we're so happy that we're being allowed to come into the Challenger Learning Center and learn a little bit more about space and how it relates to us and the kids and the adults in our neighborhood. With me I have Mac Sudduth, who's the president of Mi-Sci. And tell us what we're going to see today, Mac.
Well, you just come to the entrance and everybody starts off in the briefing room. I'm going to introduce Carolyn here too.
Hi, Carolyn.
Carolyn Niehaus is going to help us.
Good. Come on
she's
over.
one of our mission specialists. And we're just going to go into the briefing room. Everybody starts off with a briefing, just like
Okay,
NASA.
great.
When the kids first, it's like you could sign up as a Girl Scout group for Camp In, or we do summer camp, and so you can come to space camp for a week and be on a mission.
Now, are we going to go into the control room?
Yes, we're going to go into
Ooh,
mission
how
control.
exciting. I can't wait.
So you'll see that mission control is divided up into the various tasks. And Carolyn can probably tell you about the task. I know a little bit, but you can see there's data, communications, ISO.
And everything is labeled, I see.
Yeah, ISO or isolation, navigation, the probe, the remote, the
What is LS?
medical team, life support.
Oh, we need life support.
So each team monitors the life support, and they have a set of tasks that they give people, and they will communicate